Welcome to my channel, and today I'm hoping to explain how I paint eyes. First things first, I start to look at simplifying the eye. I look at the reference and try and judge to my best ability to replace the curves with straight lines, as I find this translates better and is far easier to judge and adjust, especially early on. Little adjustments can work in later, but for now I just use simple straight lines. After I've established the eye, I start to move on to the eyelids, both upper and lower. I do the exact same thing as I did with the eye, and I simplify them into simple lines, just checking references and checking if they line up properly with the other lines I've created. I then move on to the iris and pupil, and I keep a note about the placement and taking consideration of the negative space. I then start to find the shadows and break them down into simple geometric shapes, easy to understand and easy to work with, especially at the beginning stage. And then I put down the eyebrow, and surprise, again I'm using simple straight lines to show where the placement of the eyebrow is. Again, all these straight lines will add up, and the subtleties of the curves will be added later when we start to lay a paint down. Now onto painting. I first start to work out where the lightest lights and darkest darks are. And what I want to do is just simply put these colours down. Again, you can put them in simplistic shapes. You've already built the shapes up, so all it is filling those shapes with a colour corresponding to the shadow or the highlights. What you don't want to be doing, what I don't do, is overthink the details at this point. All you want to do is lay down a foundation for you to work on later. This is especially true with oil colours. So I've laid down that primary layer. Now what I'm looking at is how to improve that layer. What I normally would do is let this layer dry first as an underpainting. However, I want to do this all in one sitting, so therefore I'll have to just work wet into wet. It's not ideal to create crisp detail, however, it's just something I have to work with. Take your time and reflect on your reference and see the adjustments you need to make. Any adjustments should be made really at the beginning. You don't want to get towards the end stages and finally realise that you've made a massive error. Your eye doesn't line up with the other eye, or it's crooked, or the eyelids don't match. So it's best to sort those mistakes out first. If you didn't catch them out in the first layer, now's your time to do it now, at the beginning of the second layer. And this will apply to the layer after this one's dried as well. As many layers as you want. At the beginning of the layer, you should always strive for correcting the previous mistake. I just also want to quickly mention about how light interacts with curved surfaces. A lot of the eye forms are curved, the eyelids, the eye itself, the surrounding areas have a certain degree of curve. So this image that's hopefully shown right now will show you in the simplest terms of what I mean, and hopefully it's easy to understand, but it's also important to note, especially when working with soft gradients such as the skin. So from here and now, what we'll be doing is just simply refining the eye, looking at deepening the darks if we need to, upping the contrast in some areas, changing the hue, Also keep in mind of cool and warm colours, especially around the eye. It tends to be slightly cooler in the shadows around the bottom of the eyes, I find, and warmer towards the inner eye, between the brow and the upper eyelid. Not in every case, but on this reference, it certainly is the case. Also, just pay attention to overworking details as well. If you're struggling, just move on to a different area, ignore it for now, and come back later once you've established a different area. It might give you better insight of how to change that area. However, just keep it moving around and don't stay bogged down, as you just end up reworking it and making more mistakes than you initially wanted. I also want to point out that the hue, the colour temperatures that you're seeing are very cooled down. There's a tint over it as I'm filming, as I'm using an old phone to do this. Slight issue, my computer broke, so I can't really edit on that. And the camera I use also is SD, so it's hard to just transfer it to my phone. So I just find it easier just to film on the phone and then also edit it. Surprisingly, I'm finding it actually quite pleasant to edit on the phone. I'm not just stuck at a desk and being uncomfortable, like I lay down and just, edit. I find it easier. So I'm more than likely will continue this editing style. However, I don't know what the future holds just as yet. I know what I would like is a new phone to hopefully record better stuff, better image, better quality, and just quality of life at the minute. Anyway, back to the painting. So the late stages, I'm looking at introducing highlights, bringing the painting together, getting those eyelashes and working the eyebrow. Best part of the painting, I think, is adding the highlights. It just adds depth. It adds highly contrasting values, and it just makes it pop. But yeah, this is generally it. I hope you enjoyed. I'll leave it playing, and if you have any comments, just leave them below. And yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.